Imagine you are walking through a dense forest, steps falling softly on the damp earth. Suddenly, a strange quiet settles in. The birds stop singing. A deer bolts into the thicket, and a squirrel freezes on a branch before instantly vanishing. Even wildlife that has never encountered a human in their entire lives will react to us as if we are the absolute deadliest apex predators on the planet. And in many ways, that is exactly what we are. But let me ask you something. What if our very presence is reshaping the emotional landscape of the entire natural world? Imagine a dog sniffing the grass on a routine morning walk, or a common fly effortlessly buzzing away from your hand before you can even strike. These everyday, ordinary observations seem simple on the surface, but they actually hide a much deeper, more complex scientific reality. Humans do not possess razor-sharp claws. We are not particularly fast, and almost any medium-sized animal could outrun us without breaking a sweat. Yet, from the largest elephants to the smallest rodents, countless species carry an overwhelming sense of caution, stress, and absolute terror the moment we draw near. To understand why, we have to look deeper. To understand this deep-seated terror, we first have to shatter a common misconception about how the animal kingdom perceives us and the world around them. For a long time, we believed that animals simply experienced a sharper version of our own reality. We assumed a dog just possesses a stronger sense of smell. But the scientific truth is far more mind-bending. A dog doesn't just smell stronger. They can literally smell time itself, tracking the decay of scent molecules to perceive the past and predict the future. In the exact same way, our traditional understanding of what makes a predator dangerous is completely incomplete. We tend to think of threats in terms of physical attributes, sharp teeth, crushing jaws, or blinding speed. But humans brought a completely unique, terrifying anomaly to the evolutionary table. Most natural predators are highly specialized specialists. A lion hunts specific prey, and generally only when it is hungry, bounded by strict physical limits and a predictable territory. But humans do not play by the rules of nature. We do not specialize. Historically, we have hunted almost everything, from small birds to creatures many times our own size. We can strike from a distance, utilize complex traps, cooperate in massive groups, and pursue prey for hours on end. To the rest of wildlife, we became a predator that is practically impossible to predict, completely breaking the conventional laws of biology. This extreme level of threat has forced scientists to categorize our impact through a specific ecological lens, known as the super-predator effect. To fully grasp how wildlife internalizes this terror, we have to look at a scientific concept called the landscape of fear. This psychological profile dictates that the mere presence of a predator permanently alters the behavior, feeding habits, and daily routines of everyone else in the ecosystem. Animals are constantly calculating risks based on their temporal resolution, their neurological ability to process sensory information over time. Because humans act so unpredictably, we completely distort this internal clock, forcing species to perceive risk even when no active hunting is taking place. This constant state of high alert is closely tied to what behavioral psychologists call the secure base test. In controlled animal studies, individuals look to a trusted figure or a familiar environment as a secure base to explore and feel safe. But when the human element is introduced, that secure base completely shatters. Instead of finding comfort in their habitats, wildlife suffers from chronic stress. Research shows that because of this landscape of fear, many mammals will entirely abandon rich food sources or completely shift their biological clocks to become nocturnal, desperate to navigate a world where the most dangerous creature never follows the rules. To see this deep psychological and evolutionary imprint in action, we can look at a series of groundbreaking scientific case studies. Consider the famous research on Snowball the cockatoo, which demonstrated that certain animals possess an advanced neurological capacity for beat induction, the ability to process and move to human music. This proves that wildlife can deeply synchronize with human stimuli, making our negative impacts feel even more intense. When researchers played audio recordings of different predators in the wild, the results were chilling. Hearing wolves or bears made animals alert, but the sound of casual human voices triggered absolute panic, causing species to flee instantly and abandon their territory. This terror is passed down through generations, beautifully mirrored in reverse by Dmitry Belaev's famous fox experiment. By selectively breeding wild foxes based purely on their lack of fear toward humans, Belaev completely transformed their genetics, behavior, and physical appearance in just a few decades. This proves how rapidly the fear response can be rewritten. In nature, the opposite occurred. Historically, when humans arrived in North America, massive species like mammoths and giant sloths vanished shortly after. The animals that survived were the ones that adopted a better safe than sorry evolutionary strategy. Even today, elephants can distinctively recognize different human groups by their scent and vocal dialects, pinpointing exactly who poses a lethal threat. Animals do not just run from us, they actively study us to survive. Yet nature is rarely absolute, and this is where the current limits of scientific understanding become truly fascinating. While the landscape of fear dominates the wild, we are starting to observe a profound paradox in urban environments. In cities across the globe, the boundaries of evolutionary terror are beginning to stretch and bend. Pigeons casually forage between our feet, squirrels boldly approach park benches for food, and urban foxes confidently navigate crowded neighborhoods. These animals are demonstrating a remarkable cognitive flexibility, proving that fear is not a fixed genetic trap, but an adaptive, living mechanism that can adjust based on positive, daily experiences. However, this flexibility reveals the exact boundaries of what science can currently explain. Researchers still struggle to pinpoint the precise line where habituation ends and instinctual panic takes over. Even the most comfortable urban animal maintains a strict threshold. Push a few inches too close, make a sudden, unpredictable gesture, or alter the environment too abruptly, and the ancient evolutionary trauma immediately resurfaces. We do not fully understand how these dual realities coexist within an animal's brain, how they can perceive us as a harmless neighbor one moment and a lethal threat the next. What we do know is that deep down, caution remains their most valuable currency, leaving science to wonder just how much of the natural world we have truly understood. Ultimately, the profound terror we inspire in wildlife forces us to re-examine our own place within the natural world. This deep-seated fear is a stark reminder that humans are not separate from the animal kingdom. We are intimately woven into its fabric, acting as the ultimate catalyst for evolutionary change. The next time you walk through a quiet forest and watch a squirrel instantly freeze, or notice a dog sniffing the grass to read the invisible history of a passing moment, remember that you are carrying a heavy legacy. Our presence carries an echo of power that shapes the emotional landscape around us. In our daily lives, this realization should inspire us to tread more lightly, replacing unnecessary disruption with a deeper respect for the boundaries of the creatures sharing our planet. Perhaps the fear we see in their eyes is not just a survival instinct, but a mirror reflecting the immense responsibility we hold as Earth's most dominant force. Maybe, by understanding this ancient anxiety, we can begin to transform our role from an unpredictable threat into a conscious guardian, ensuring that the next generation of wildlife has a little less to fear.